Hello everyone, welcome back to more AEW on TEW2020. We are here for the Dark Before our Spring Stampede special episode of Dynamite. Start off BTE, you have your normal stuff, you have your Young Bucks, you have your Dark Order. You go to the actual things where a bunch of people are backstage in this common area and they're watching the movie 12-Hour Shift. Serpentico walks by in the background, which prompts Matt Cardona to stop him and compliment how well he did in the movie. Serpentico is just really confused, and he walks away as Cardona turns around to keep watching the movie. And when David Arquette's character shows up on the screen, Cardona turns around, and he's like, hey, again, that's you, because, haha, Serpentico is David Arquette. Well, I'll probably do a few. I mean, he did a masterful job of improvising interactions. Very nice. After this, the Lady of the Queen's Court is seen preparing things for Ashley Flair, listening to something on some headphones when she's approached by Garza, who puts his arm around her. Compliments her appearance and keeps flirting with her, and Lydia is kind of just not really... She doesn't seem to be registering anything of what he says, and eventually Garza just kind of gets very irritated with this, and he steps in front of her, and he's like, hey, listen to me, I'm trying to pick up chicks. And Lydia takes her headphones out, she asks, like, hey, what were you saying something? The implication is that she's not... and Garza just kind of gives up, and then Lydia shows it was a trap. Her headphones weren't plugged into anything. And then Bernice and Christina walk by, and they all high-five or something. I don't know. It's a goofy segment. Garza, he'll eventually pick up more ladies. We properly start off dark with Matthew Raywalt defeating Peter Avalon with the director's cut. So, I'm just a really big fan of Aiden English as a person, but I don't want to, do the same thing where I pair him up with Rusev, it's not so... I do have a plan for him in a little bit, involving Peter Avalon. I'm gonna spoil that, but it's not a high priority. This, Lady Bernice defeats Patricia Vibert, the Queen Kick. Shotzi Blackheart defeats Max the Impaler, who debuts. Shotzi winning with the Fright Night. That's a lot of things. After this, Britt Baker has another episode of The Waiting Room, where Brody Lee of the Dark Order comes in. Brody enters and he's just by himself, no other Dark Order members. And, Brody, he takes Regal's mic. He says, we have other business to attend to, Miss Regal. The Dark Order is a very busy group. We have a lot of things that we need to do, so we can't always have everyone walking around here doing nothing, especially those dumbasses John Silver, Alex Reynolds, and 8. Don't worry, Uno's got them doing something. Then Britt Baker asks the very question, hey, you got fired that one time. And Brody's like, it's true that for a few weeks, I was out of a job officially, but there were forces much smarter up at the top than that selfish, arrogant prick, Cody Rhodes. They recommended bringing me back, and they definitely did. And I was just about ready to head elsewhere. I was about to head to another company, maybe Impact, maybe NWA, maybe New Japan, when JR came and practically begged me to bring it, and he's practically begging to bring me back. Now, I'm not going to let any of that slight go lightly. Cody is going to make sure that he pays for getting me fired and trying to dismantle the Dark Order. I really need to do more stuff with Brody, but oh well. After this, Big Swole defeats Elena Black. Then Abaddon's music plays, and she rushes out and she starts attacking Big Swole. They're brawling in the ring while Maki Ito is singing along to Abaddon's theme, which is impressive considering what Abaddon's theme sounds like. Riho comes to make the save, and I'm imagining she's kind of running towards the ramp. She turns around, she sees that Maki's singing, and then starts attacking Maki. Maki eventually does turn it around. She uses her mic to beat up Riho a little bit, rushes in, and she's going to help beat down Big Swole. Big Swole escapes, gets to Riho, and they say that they'll eventually get a match on Dynamite against each other. So, I need to build more of the women's division. Speaking of, AJ Mendes defeats Harlow O'Hara with a sliced bread. Jeff Cobb defeats Sonny Kiss. Nyla Rose defeats a debuting Kiera Hogan. And to end things off, the Vision defeat the Cross Brothers. So, very simple show of Dark, but we're going into Spring Stampede, which hopefully will be really good. our special Spring Stampede show of AEW Dynamite starts off with our Eddie Kingston versus Jon Moxley match. I do expect that this episode itself, like this actual YouTube episode of it, will be pretty short. This is mostly matches, some very short segments incoming, but Moxley, it's not really surprised that he was going to win. I think everyone knew this, even Kingston would know this at this point, but still, all part of the plan is following the match. The Blood Brothers come out to the ring, and they surround Moxley. Before any of them can do anything, Kingston calls them off, and he's still selling the injuries he did, it was 11 minutes, which is actually still a fairly long match for this. I probably should have made that a little bit shorter. Talks to Moxley, still tries to get him to join the Blood Brothers, but Moxley still refuses. He's very insistent on being a lone wolf because he wants to make his own path. He wants to, not have any of those brass rings or being tied up with a group or something like that. And Kingston says, you know what? I got something that can sweeten the deal for next week's Dynamite. And Mox, he accepts that. He still is like, alright, I'll see what this is. But Moxley's still not convinced by joining up with Eddie Kingston. I mean, yes, they've been friends for a while, but still, it's not really the best thing in the world. After this, cameras cut to backstage, where the entire Queen's Court is laid out. Kind of shown with the counter lock on Lady Bernice, that first one there. And she releases it just as the cameras get to her. She just says, "Fight for yourself, Flair," and then walks off. A very quick segment, and this is mainly just so that we have kind of the reasonable time to clear out the ring for the next match. This match would be a logistical this show would be a logistical nightmare in real life because of just how quickly some of these switches are. After this, we just have a hype package for El Hijo del Vikingo. They go over the match for the people who only watch Dark. They go over who he is, how, he's the son of King Vikingo, works AAA, and that he's officially been signed a full-time contract with AEW because he won the tournament. And oh my lord. Oh my Jesus. In 82, Pac defeats El Hijo del... It's not a surprise that Pac ended up winning, but in 82? Yes, I did set this to a high spots match, and both of these guys are very good at lucha things. But Vikingo with a 65? He has like 20 pop in America. Oh, right. Yeah, both of them suited for their ability on the match. My lord. 82. I think that's one of our best matches ever. It is affected by the no-style, but still, I think if I was on no-style, Kota and Kenny would probably have been in the 90s. But this is still amazing. After this, Pac, he is very impressed by the match, but even so, he's handed the title, and then he just kind of points a finger, maybe even does a finger gun, similar to what Kenny does for the cleaner. And Dijak and Pillman Jr. walk out from backstage, and they continue to beat down Vikingo, and then ends when Dijak delivers a double foot stomp to Vikingo from the top rope. Vikingo is in the trio woe position, it's the mushroom stomp, I think it is. I'm still not 100% on my wrestling move terminology, but either way, medical staff, they rush out because, he has just been completely destroyed by multiple people. And Vikingo, they help him backstage because he did do an amazing job. Wow. After this, Ashley Flair is backstage. She's very obviously angry. She's then approached by Ric Flair, tells her to calm down, to focus on the match up ahead. And Ashley agrees, and she walks up to the ring. The cameras follow her this entire time. Ric Flair, we've had him hired for a while, actually before we even had Ashley Flair. We have had Ric Flair just working as a road agent mainly. I will take extremely marketable for Ric Flair. That's just free money for me. But Ric Flair, He is with the company. He's just a backstage role. He's not really going to be interacting too much with Ashley. He's just there. He's going to be a road agent because he does have some really good psychology. He is someone who knows the business. And also, you know, he'll certainly liven up the backstage mood. Whether that's for good or bad, I can't say. That match, it's a 72 when, not really a surprise, Kana defeats Ashley Flair with a Passion Clutch. And in 87 for Kana. What the hell? Okay. Ashley Flair, not the best. Charlotte's never been a really great in-ring performer. She's serviceable, but Kana with an 87, fantastic performance. One of our best of all time for any wrestler. I think, honestly, Pac's performance just now, earlier in the show, is their best one ever with the 89. Again, no style really helping us out, but my lord, Kana. Going to be a dominant champion if she keeps putting up 87s. After this, probably after some commercials, we have FTR defeating Charles Betts and Zack Sabre Jr. This is a very, very nice match. I would personally love to see this match. I mean, this just seems like it would be, you know, good, just solid, actual wrestling. I'm probably starting to sound like Cornette a little bit, but, you know, this just seems like a very good, solid wrestling match. Kurt Angle, he's at ringside. I probably should have put him on commentary. We'll just say he is on commentary for this because, you know, he does have some stakes in this, you know. Both of these are his teams, and both of them have excellent chemistry together, which, fantastic. But, you know, still a very nice performance. FTR does win. Dax Harwood pins Zack Sabre Jr. after a Shatter Machine. And Dax actually getting the weak link in the match with a 67. Zack Sabre Jr. with an 80. Just a very solid match. This is our longest match on the card. I will just say that right now. Makes sense for a tag match to be the longest on the card, but very nice. I probably could have actually gotten this better if I kept it as a technical masterclass like I originally planned, but oh well. FTR keeps the titles, but afterwards, Team Taz, they get to the ring and they start attacking members of Team Angle. There, you know, obviously, Team Angle just went through a 22-minute fight, basically, so they're very, very much out of it, while all of Taz's guys are very fresh. Cage eventually powerbombs Harwood, who conveniently did get the pin over Sabre Jr., and he pins Harwood. You might even have, like, Ricky Starks pretending to do a 3 count. I don't know. It's a little bit goofy, admittedly, but also just showing off that Taz, he really wants to get at Kurt Angle, just like he did at the 2000 Royal Rumble? 2001, I don't remember which. You know, just as with his debut in the WWE, he wants to get under Angle's skin. So, our segments aren't the best, but our matches are doing fantastic. Speaking of, our cage match. Darby Allin defeats Jeff Hardy. A little bit of a lack of psychology, which I suppose does make sense. But still, Darby took a crazy bump. Jeff took a stunt bump. Just because, you know, I think the stunt bump would be, Jeff would probably just take a stunt one. So, kind of what I was thinking would be, like, Jeff Hardy's bump would probably be, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of thinking that for that finish, the coffin drop is from the top of the cage, which would kind of be our crazy bump, which, you know, that does sound like it would be fun to watch, but also painful as hell. Jeff Hardy, I don't know, maybe, I don't know what Jeff Hardy's bump would be. Oh well. I was thinking a swanton from the top of the cage, but that would probably also count as a crazy bump, but whatever, it's fine. After this, Chris Jericho is walking around backstage and he's looking for Kota Ibushi. He says repeatedly that he wants to fight Ibushi, despite them not being booked for a match, and also this being very late in the show. Brian Myers appears and he approaches Jericho and he says that Ibushi isn't actually in Jacksonville because he's visiting with Kenny Omega. And Jericho delivers the Judas Effect to Brian Myers before storming off. Brian Myers is our road agent, who we also put to get injured a lot, or who we put to kind of be our butt monkey of them, which makes sense for Kurt Hawkins. He's just there to receive Judas Effects and super kicks. Our main event, MJF defeats Jungle Boy. They Swanton Bomb, and it's a solid match. MJF with a 79. Respectable. MJF more of a character guy. Jungle Boy with a 77. That surprises me. I think probably boosted up quite a bit from that win over Adam Page. That did boost him up like 3 or 4 popularity points, which, you know, that definitely helped out the match. Good match in terms of shows. Our ratings will kind of be lackluster just because of the no style, but still a 76 rating for our Spring Stampede show, which very happy with, no complaints there. And, well, we'll continue on to see how things go after Spring Stampede, and as we make our road to Double or Nothing.